Raider Nation, if you want the Raiders to bench Geno Smith, hit that like button. Quite frankly, if I could make 2 accounts, I'd hit the like button again. I'd hit the like button 3 times. I'd hit the like button 4 times. If I could hit the like button 100 times on this video, I would do it. I want the Raiders to bench Geno Smith. And coming up here on today's program, I'm going to outline all the reasons why. It's time, Pete Carroll. It's time, John Spytek. It's time, Mark Davis, to make a change. Put Geno on the bench. Put somebody else out there, whether it's Kenny Pickett, whether it's Adam O'Connell. I don't care who it is. I am done with Geno Smith, and I am done with the Pete Carroll Raiders. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Rentz here, host of the Raiders Report, and I'm going to tell you why the Las Vegas Raiders need to bench Geno Smith before their Week 12 game up against the Cleveland Browns. And I got a lot of different reasons here to be able to outline, and I know that this is not a unpopular take of me sitting up here saying that I want the Raiders to bench Geno Smith. I don't think that the Raiders are going to bench Geno, because if you heard Pete Carroll talk to the media, he said that Geno Smith is doing a fantastic job. Well, Pete, if you're too old to be able to open your eyes up, maybe your ears still work, and hopefully you listen to this. It's time to bench Geno Smith. The Raiders are 2-8. It's not like we've been a successful team this season, and I know the offensive line's got a lot of issues. I know Chip Kelly stinks, and I know that there are so many outsiding factors that are also impacting this offense, and I get it from top to bottom. But we won Week 1, okay? We won Week 1. Since Week 1, the only team that we have been able to beat is the Tennessee Titans. And it's really hard to be able to win in the National Football League when you don't have a quarterback. And I can confidently say that Geno Smith is not going to be the future of this team. I don't know if it's going to be AOC. I don't know if it's going to be Kenny Pickett. But I know that Geno Smith has been a disaster. And I love this stat here. Shout out to Josh Dubow. Through 10 games with Pete Carroll and Geno Smith, the Raiders are 2-8. And they are losing games on average by negative 9.8 points. Guess what? Raiders threw 10 games last season with Antonio Pierce, Gardner Minshew, and Adam O'Connell. 2-8, negative 9.8 points, and that's that game differential. If that was bad enough to get those guys fired, then why is it not also the same to get Geno Smith put on the bench? And I just want Pete Carroll to show me that he cares more about the Raiders doing well than his relationship with Geno Smith. And I don't know if that's the case. Let's go to the next reason here, why it's time to bench Geno Smith. When you have a team that lacks the amount of talent that this team does on the offense and on the defensive side of the football, you need to be able to take care of the football. You can't turn it over. And Geno Smith has been a turnover machine. He is tied with the most interceptions in the National Football League with 13. Look at the game against Monday night. People could say it was a batted pass, and Geno would probably make an excuse. He'd probably would say, hey, put all the blame on me. And I am going to put a lot of blame on you, Geno. But when you look at that play, he forced it into a window, and that ball got batted, and it got intercepted. He could have checked it down. There was a check down option there. Now, Geno wanted to be able to cut it loose, and they let him cut it loose, no doubt about it. But when you have a team that should run the football more with Ashton Genty, that doesn't have a lot of, again, talent and depth all across the field, you need to play safe, turnover-free football. And Geno Smith has shown you all season long that he doesn't have the ability to do that. You have been working on the turnover issues all season long. We've seen it for 10 games. He hasn't made any adjustments. All I'm asking is this. If you're going to make other guys compete for their job, make Geno Smith compete for his job. Because, Geno, you said it yourself. You said it yourself, you're better when your back's against the wall. I want to see if you're better when your ass is on the bench. So here's what I want to know from you down below. Give me one name. It's going to be the pinned comment on today's show. Who should start at quarterback for the Raiders if Geno is benched? You can throw out AOC. You can throw out Kenny Pickett. I'm sure some people are probably going to throw out the name Cam Miller on top of that. My answer is going to be coming up here after this YouTube ad break of who the Raiders should start at the quarterback position. Now, I know full on that the Raiders went out and they ended up trading for Kenny Pickett. And I know Aiden O'Connell is probably going to be activated today at the time that I am making this video because of the move that the Raiders made with Chris Smith. But I mean this when I say this. If Aiden O'Connell is out there and he's active, that's the guy that I want to start. And the biggest reason why I want Aiden O'Connell to start is because it's who Raider Nation wants to start. And at this point, I'm done with Pete Carroll. I'm done with Geno Smith. I will admit, can he pick it up against Shedeur Sanders' little Browns on Browns quarterback action? Would be fun. It would be entertaining. But at the 2-8 season, I want to have fun watching Raiders games. I want to be able to enjoy to watch my favorite team. And as long as Geno Smith is under center, I'm not going to have a good time watching the game because it's really hard to root for that guy. I want to root for Aiden O'Connell. I want to root for AOC. And I want number 12 to be under center moving forward for the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's go to the next reason why it's time to bench Geno Smith. The Geno bias is so crystal clear that it's disgusting. And I'm going to say this, and I've said it before. Pete Carroll cares more about how Geno Smith plays and the relationship that he has with Geno Smith compared to the Raiders winning football games. Because Geno spoke to the media last week and he said that he wanted to be able to cut it loose and that he wanted to be able to throw the ball more up against the Dallas Cowboys. Well, guess what? They let you do it. And Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly, they were the ones that designed the plays against the Cowboys. So I think the epitome of truth, again, actions speak louder than words. The actions of the Las Vegas Raiders prove to me that they care more about Geno Smith getting it together than the Raiders winning football games. Because for this coaching staff to call 27 pass plays and only 3 running back runs tells me that you just care more about Geno Smith. And if I know that this staff cares more about Geno than playing well, then that's going to rub a lot of people wrong in that locker room. And I already know that there's a lot of people that are getting rubbed wrong, giggity, in that locker room by some of the coaching decisions that have been happening here, and I know it for a fact. But I think if you put Geno on the bench, it not only, I think, gives your fans something to hope for, I think it gives a lot of the players in that locker room proof of, hey, we are actually living by the compete mentality. Because you can't say we're a team that's going to compete. You can't say that Darian Porter can't play because he hasn't shown you enough, but you're still playing Kai Blue Kelly, right? Like, you are putting guys out there, the whole JPJ, Will Putnam, Jordan Meredith experiment. You're showing week in and week out that you care about your guys more than what is best for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if Aiden O'Connell or Kenny Pickett are going to be better. But what I just want to see is that you care about the Raiders more than you care about Geno Smith. And at this point, I don't think Pete Carroll does. And I don't know how anybody thinks that Pete Carroll does care about the Raiders and how well they do. I know he cares about Geno, and I just want to see that we're not putting a player above the shield, especially a player that has no business being even put in front of the shield. Coming up next here, more reasons why it's important for the Las Vegas Raiders to bench Geno Smith. And before I get into that, though, I was hoping that Geno Smith would be the number 1 Raiders quarterback. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Fortunately for you, America's number 1 fantasy sports app out there is Prize Picks, and it's simple to play. You just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get your picks right, you can cash in. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. And when I say old, I'm talking Pete Carroll, 78, 74 years old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. The lineup that you see up on screen was a lineup that I did for Monday Night Football. Obviously, this one did not end up hitting, but I just wanted to be able to show it to you because this is why I love Prize Picks. It's the flexibility. You could either do the power play, you could either do the flex play, and how you play is totally up to you on Prize Picks. And I'll keep saying it. When the Raiders are bad, I love playing Prize Picks because it gives me something to root for. It gives me something to look forward to. And if you're a Raiders fan and you're going to watch every single game day, give yourself something to root for. Root for more Brock Bowers receiving yards. Root for more Max Crosby sacks. Root for more Ashton Genty rushing yards. And download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS. You get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Coming up here, more reasons why the Raiders need to bench Geno Smith. And I know I said earlier that the offensive line is bad, and the offensive line is atrocious. It would be really hard for almost any quarterback to win right now behind this offensive line. But the other reason why I think it's right now kind of time to bench Geno is he just clearly doesn't trust the O-line. And again, I don't really blame him, right? Like, I do not blame him. However, though, that's the monster that you created, Pete. That's the monster that you created, Brendan Carroll, when you put the offensive line out there that you're going to put out there on a weekly flipping basis. Because the O-line that the Raiders have, now I get that this is the depth chart. The O-line that the Raiders ended up going with against Dallas was Stone Forsythe, Dylan Parham, Will Putnam at center. Jordan Meredith played right guard. DJ Glaze played right tackle. But if Geno Smith isn't going to show any confidence in his offensive line, that impacts your receivers. It impacts your tight end. It impacts your overall offense. And it impacts literally everything that you're going to do. But it also impacts your job, Pete Carroll, as a head coach. It impacts our job as a fan base to properly evaluate what we have out there on the field. I actually wonder if you were to put in an Aiden O'Connell, if you were to put in a Kenny Pickett, a quarterback that hasn't dealt with a lot of the issues that this offensive line has thrown Geno's way. And when you're hit and you're pressured, the amount of times that Geno is, again, it's probably hard to have any confidence in that O-line. But maybe, just maybe, if we put somebody out there that hasn't been thrown to the wolves yet, maybe you can actually properly evaluate your receivers, your running back, your tight end, your offensive line. Because right now I am looking at a quarterback that is seeing ghosts, that second guesses himself, that wants to cut it loose. When he does cut it loose, it's never anything good. And he just clearly doesn't trust himself. He doesn't trust the system. He doesn't trust the offensive line. I don't care if Geno's going to call Chip Kelly a great offensive coordinator. Chip Kelly would probably say Geno Smith's a great quarterback. It's a bunch of words that have absolutely no meaning. Let's go to the next reason here why it's time to bench Geno Smith. To me, two things got to happen this week. Either A, you bench Geno, let another quarterback play to see if it's a Chip Kelly problem. Or you fire Chip Kelly's ass, and then you figure out if it's a Chip Kelly problem if you're going to start Geno Smith. What cannot happen this week is the Raiders cannot have Chip Kelly as their OC and Geno Smith as their quarterback. I need to test out one of the issues because, again, the four biggest problems on this Raiders team, Pete Carroll, Brendan Carroll, Geno Smith, Chip Kelly. I don't think that there are any other issues bigger than those four issues. And if Pete Carroll is going to pick Geno and his son Brennan, well then let's figure out if we got a Chip Kelly problem. That's what I want to figure out. What are the overall issues for this team? And if you bring in a new quarterback, well, and Aiden's bad, and if Kenny's bad, maybe it's just a Chip problem. But if Chip Kelly is good and you put a different quarterback in there, it's a lot easier to say it was a Geno Smith problem. I'm just trying to figure out what are all these issues that I see every day, every single game day. That's what I'm trying to figure out. So if you could pick one to remove, who would you remove? Would you remove Geno Smith, the starter, and keep Chip Kelly as the OC? Or would you remove Chip Kelly as the OC and keep Geno Smith as the starter? Pick one to remove. GS for Geno Smith, CK for Chip Kelly. Please let me know your answers down below. Now, let's keep on talking here about the Chip Kelly issues because that's where I got to figure out. And I believe that AOC and Kenny Pickett could actually potentially save Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll because I know for a fact that Geno Smith's not going to save this organization. The only way that people are going to want Geno to be the quarterback next season is if we don't lose another game. We have to go 9-8. The only way I'm going to entertain the idea of Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll coming back is if we win every single game from here on out. It's not happening. We got the Browns, Chargers, Broncos, Eagles, Texans, Giants, Chiefs. If we win all those games, then guess what? We do deserve to keep Chip Kelly, and hell, we might as well give Geno an even bigger type of contract. I'm kidding when I say that, but I want to see, is it a Chip problem? Is it a Geno problem? Let's go to the final reason here and kind of where I'm just at this point. The fan base wants change. I'm looking right now at the live poll in our video that I'm doing right now. 91% of the votes want Geno Smith to be benched. I put out a poll on Twitter. That poll, the last time that I checked, 90% of the votes want Geno Smith to be benched. The nation has seen enough, Pete. The nation has seen enough, Mark. And I just don't want to see any more. If our product is going to be a bad product, and The Pete Carroll Raiders are a bad, pathetic product, and there's no way, shape, or form with this offensive line, with all the issues that we had, that we're going to have anything fixed. And it's just the God-honest truth. So at least give me a football team that I want to watch. At least give me a football team that gets me excited to show up on Sunday. And if that excitement comes from you having to play merry-go-round at quarterback for giving me something else to be hopeful about, I'd rather that, because I have never been this low as a Raiders fan than I am now. And I mean it when I say it. I was really, really down bad, obviously, with the Josh McDaniels days. I went live for 26 straight hours when the Raiders moved on from him. The way that I feel after that Monday Night Football game, where the Raiders proved to me all of their issues that have been going on for months at this point, the Pete Carroll-led Raiders proved to me that this is a regime that I have no business being interested in, and I have no business being interested in Geno Smith. So I'm asking on behalf of myself, and if I speak for Raider Nation, I hope that you put this down below, that you agree with my statement. But at this point, I just want to bench Geno Smith because I'm tired of watching Geno Smith. I'm tired of the Pete Carroll-led Raiders, and I just want to see something different. Because to me, if you bench Geno, it's one step closer to us getting rid of Pete Carroll. And at this point, I'll take all the steps closer I can get to moving on from Pete Carroll. So here's why it's time for the Raiders to bench Geno Smith. The Raiders are 2-8. Geno Smith is a turnover machine. Geno clearly gets special treatment to Pete Carroll. Geno doesn't trust the offensive line. I want to figure it out if it's a Geno or Chip issue. And at this point, the fan base doesn't want anything to do with Geno Smith. We want Aiden O'Connell. We want Kenny Pickett. We want Cam Miller. We want something different. If you want to share that, please make sure you tag me on Instagram at MitchellRenz365.